Shop talk, we on the move. Shop talk, we on the move. Let's move. Shop talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you. Coming through like Shop talk, we on the move. Shop talk, we on the move. Let's move. Shop talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you. Coming through like Shop talk, we ready. Got them Clippers with us, and I don't mean LA. Come and kick it with us, we riding on the freeway. Headed somewhere to cut hair from VA. Shop talk with Reg and the crew. And Tony Red in it too. Now move, come and get you a cut in the interview. But leave a tip in the cup when we finish too. Shop talk, we on the move. Shop talk, we on the move. Let's move. Shop talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you. Coming through like
Alright, Reg, who we got coming in?
Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Gordon.
Yeah.
Dr. John B. Gordon III.
That will be him, the infamous.
Cool. I got a couple of things. He's working on
His book?
working on his book.
Teacher's Lounge.
Teacher's Lounge. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll attack that.
You know, you gotta talk to him about the coaching, because like we knew in school, Gordon was a baller. You know, he played on team and everything. To see Gordon as a coach,
Right.
never expected that.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Bro.
So, yeah, it was. You know, back in school, you know, he had this. You know, he had his swag, so you never saw him trying to teach swag to somebody else.
Just for him, you know, this is a guy we've seen transform his life from coming in as being a substitute teacher.
Right.
Now is the chief of schools at Chesterfield County. So
Man.
there's a lot of inspiration coming in there. We found out a lot about him in terms of his career, being one of the first black principals. So that's a big move for us.
Hopefully, you know, everybody see the differences he's trying to make, and not so much knock it down, but be inspired by what he's done. You know what I mean?
Well, shoot, he about to pull up right now. Come on, let's go.
Let's get it.
Shop talk, we on the move. Shop talk, we on the move. Let's move. Shop talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you. Coming through like Shop talk, we on the move. Shop talk, we on the move. Let's move. Shop talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you. Coming through like
Dr. Gordon, welcome to Automotive Shop Talk. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you here, man. Good. We're going to start from the top. At the beginning of your career, you started as a substitute teacher and a basketball coach. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it was interesting, you know, my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. I got in a job at DuPont up on the eastern shore of Maryland. And I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. When I graduated from UVA, I really only had 2 job offers, either working for New York Life or Life of Virginia, which doesn't even exist anymore, 2 insurance companies. But my mom had always had me doing things in education. I was an instructional tutor for Richmond Public Schools when I was in high school at Hermitage, and even during my college years. And education was something that was always in the back of my mind. So when I went there, I substituted at Mardella Middle and High School, Wacomico High, primarily, and Washington High. And you know, this is 1995. So in Washington High in Somerset County, I was making $40 a day, and in Wacomico, I was making $50 a day. And you know, as a sub, if you're not working, you don't get paid. So I was basically taking all levels of jobs, elementary, middle, and high. But I really realized that high school was kind of where I had my niche. And just playing basketball in the afternoons, word kind of spread. You know, you had this guy that came from Richmond here, you know, walked over to Virginia, and maybe he was interested in coaching. So I had 2 or 3 coaches that were kind of recruiting me a little bit, but I basically went with Mardella Middle and High School because they had the only one that really paid me the most money. The other ones were just volunteering, and I wanted to do it anyway because I was, you know, just wanted to stay close to the game. So definitely was a good learning experience. Learned a lot from Russell Springman. He taught me a lot about doing instructional drills, developing players, and developing a practice plan. So those 3 things I can really help me as I got my own head coaching experiences later on.
The word of the street is you want some championships over the years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't. Why do it if you're not going to try to win?
So in terms of your coaching, you saying that you started off a little rocky. What would you have to do to change the culture there to get a winning atmosphere going on when you were coaching as a head coach?
The main thing is just by getting them to become a family. I mean, it was so difficult because a lot of these kids, they still had delusions of grandeur where if I play this sport, I'm going to go to the league. Or if I'm not, I can do this freestyle and become a rapper. I mean, those are the two things they really wanted to do. And so I had to put some strict rules in place. I mean, at the time, the cornrows were probably the most popular hairstyle, but what the kids would do is they wouldn't always keep their hair braided up. They would take it out and the hair would be all over the place. And so I basically put the no cornrow rule in just to keep our team looking uniform. And I wanted to also make sure they were like gentlemen. You know, away games we had the shirt and ties. I had a lot of people donate ties, donate shirts. One of the things I really noticed is if the kids were dressed up, they actually acted better. They were more mature, didn't really try to do things that were going to cause them to get in trouble in school. And then I was going to reward them by making sure that our gear was sweet. I was one of the first city schools to have a Nike deal, and we wanted to kind of put things forward and use that shoe contract as a way to keep our players in-house instead of having them transfer and going to prep schools or even just leaving the area. Right. My whole goal is, unfortunately, as an African-American male coming from the inner city of Richmond, a lot of people are going to stereotype you from the beginning. Right. So why play into that? I want to make it so that you have the opportunity to go anywhere so people aren't judging you on first impressions just by the way you look or just by your hairstyle. I probably lost one or two guys that weren't going to come out, but when I did some cross-referencing, those guys didn't have the grades anyway. So the message was sent that we were serious about trying to not only push that family atmosphere, but also let everybody to know I'm really trying to get you to your next level. I'm trying to get you the opportunity to go D1, D2, junior college, doing whatever we can so that you just don't keep the cycle going, staying in the same housing projects, staying on the corner like your cousins and uncles do, where eventually you're going to end up getting in trouble or getting killed. It was funny because, being in the city, growing up around here and then going to UVA, a lot of my players just say, you talk white. And I used to ask, what does that mean? Right, talk white. It's like, you use proper subject and verb context. And I said, yeah, and you all will too. So we actually used to practice public speaking, doing post-game interviews, pre-game interviews, so that once they got in front of the camera, they wouldn't sound like someone who didn't take English class. And they didn't realize that those little practice things really helped them go a long way. And I also really believe they liked the attention they were getting too.
Let's talk a little bit about schools that inspire.com. Now, on the website it states that it can provide our school divisions with the formula for inspired students that strive for greatness. Tell me a little bit more. What is schools that inspire.com?
So after I began to show some of the formulas that really worked when I was an assistant principal and then later on as a principal, I started to get a lot of people wanting me to come speak to their schools. And in some cases even speak to their school divisions. And I would also work conferences like the BASCD where I would talk about, giving tools and tactics on how to instruct African American males, how to develop your own instructional model for your school. And after you do it for a little while, I realized I could probably make some money off of this, just to be honest. So I kind of organized it so that I have about, at the time when I first started Schools That Inspire about 4 years ago, I probably had about 10 to 12 presentations. But I also had data from my time as a high school principal at B. James Monroe in Fredericksburg that showed them that, okay, if you follow these steps, this is what's going to work. And you want to use culturally relevant instruction. You want to be able to build relationships with students. You want to be able to keep kids' interests as the foundation to how your school should actually operate. People just go to the website just to learn some more information about it, but it's really all about what I can do to try to just share the message of what's worked for me in the past.
This kind of ties into you when you say you were coaching and you have to get the kids to buy in. How difficult is it to get a whole school to kind of buy into a different culture?
Oh, it's definitely difficult. So you have, in a school division, or a school, you have your innovators or quick change agents who don't hesitate in trying something new. So what I would do is I would identify the key students. I had a principal's roundtable that included the football captain, basketball captain, SCA, National Honor Society president, cheerleading captain, and just one or two other key kids in the school. And I always give them my message early and told them that it was their job to then spread that message to everyone else. In my faculty and staff, I would then do the same thing with the department heads, but some of them you had to move on. I had one department head tell me, "You're my third principal. I'll be here before you, I'll be here after you. So there's not so many things that I'm going to do that's going to be new, because I already know that you're not going to be here long. Well, that teacher had to go.
Right.
That let me know right off the bat she didn't buy in. You know. So once people begin to see that you're genuine about what you're trying to do, and I was really all about trying to put the school on the map. I basically used the exact same formula that I used when I was coaching basketball at Meadowbrook to become an administrator and become a principal. Trying to find things that motivated the staff, trying to find things that motivated the students, and then use that as incentives. My situation at James Monroe was a little different because I was the first black principal in the school's 100-year history. So, and sometimes you felt like you were representing an entire race, but at other times you just so much more under the microscope that everybody kind of was waiting for you to mess up.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that it was a great motivator for the young black males in the building. It may have been a threat to some others.
So in terms of, you talk about building the culture and whatnot. Now, obviously, you being the first black principal there, what do you think the challenges were to get your staff really to buy in and saying, this is something very new for all of us. How can we make sure that we believe in this guy, he knows what he's doing, considering you were the first one there?
So one of the first things I did is I called each teacher on the phone, like 2 days after I got the job. And I said, if you could change one thing about James Monroe High School, what would it be and why? And they were like, oh, tardies here are terrible. We gotta do something about tardies. Probably about 70% of them said that. So I said, that's not a problem. We're gonna go ahead and put these clean sweeps in, and I'm gonna show the teachers that I have their back. As long as the teachers doing everything they're supposed to do, and always being professional, not being confrontational with kids, I'm gonna have your back. You get that buy-in because you basically go out and do what you said you're gonna do.
Right.
And after a while, they started, until they actually met me, some people didn't even know I was going to be black. I mean, you look at, you see, undergrad, UVA, bachelor's UVA, my name is John, then they see Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, that gives them a little hint, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes when you had to make some tough decisions, then people will say, well, he's only doing this because he wants to help the black kids out. And I said, no, I'm going to help all kids out. So, I started a JM Multicultural Action Committee because I felt our Hispanic students were being left out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We already had put some things together to help all minorities, but a lot of our English language learners and our ESL students, they felt that everything wasn't for them. So I wanted to start this Multicultural Action Club that really showed people you got to celebrate the diversity that we have here. You don't tolerate it, you don't acknowledge it, you celebrate it. Having different activities that really promote the diversity that you have in school, and it really helps to get the majority population and the second minority population to understand each other better. And people began to see that family atmosphere that I talked about doing when I was a basketball coach, you can do the same thing as a principal in the school too.
Well, first of all, these 3 questions I want you to answer off the top of your head.
Okay.
No structure to them.
Yes, sir.
First question. If there's something you wanted to do in life that you didn't accomplish, that you don't think you'll ever accomplish, what is it?
I wanted to be a college basketball coach. I had an interview with Anthony Grant at Virginia Commonwealth University after I won the region in Meadowbrook. And, I had 2 kids at the time. So the money just wasn't right. I thought, just like a lot of people, I thought I was going to go to the NBA. I mean, you knew, I was a pretty good basketball player around here. And so once I got into coaching, I said, well, maybe I can make it to the NBA through coaching. But, choices happen. Your career takes you on a different path. And so I really thought that because I had done it very well at Armstrong, went to the States at Meadowbrook, that I could maybe duplicate some of that at the college level. So I knew I could recruit, I could talk to kids. So that was probably the one thing. At some point in time, I thought back then I could be a college coach.
Okay. So, give me something that you've done in your life that you wish you hadn't done.
Oh. Something I've done in my life that I wish I hadn't done. So I always thought that the people that we grew up with had the same type of drive and work ethic that we did. And some of the mistakes that I've made is I've hired some of my friends under me. And they basically made poor choices that reflected bad upon me. And I had a situation that happened when I was at James Monroe. I hired a guy, teammate of mine on the Hermitage. You know, he probably got half his points in his career off of my assists. You know, I hire him, and then the next thing you know, he's had scandals going on with potentially having a weapon and, you know, being too friendly with the staff. So, because even though it was him that was in trouble, he was going around telling everyone, oh, you know, Dr. Gordon, that's my best friend, that's my high school teammate, when I'm basically getting ready to fire you. Right. You know what I mean? And so it made a sticky situation because he was more concerned if he and I were still going to be cool.
Right.
Well, I was more concerned about both of our professional reputations.
All right. So next and last question. One thing that you haven't done yet that you plan to do?
Oh, that's easy. I'm gonna be a superintendent within a year. That's easy. That's gonna happen.
Superintendent within a year.
Within a year. My goal was to do it by the time I'm 45. I'm 45 now, so I got until August of next year. It's gonna happen next spring.
I actually do have one last question.
Sure.
You have a book coming out in April.
Yeah.
The Teachers Lounge. Could you give us a little overview on it and speak about that?
So this is probably like one of the things I'm probably the most proud of. It took me about 3 years to write this book, and it's basically just kind of the whole perspective is you're taking a look at education over the last 40 years through an African American male growing up in the suburbs of Richmond. So I had my daughter do the cover, and it's elementary school kid, probably 5th grade, peeking in through the door of the teacher's lounge, and you can see his principal, a coach talking, 2 teachers. And so I'm basically giving everybody, it's called the Teacher's Lounge, the real role of educators in your schools. I'm giving everybody a perspective on parents of the day, students of the day, teachers of the day. And I start telling stories about some of those crazy experiences that I had, like being part of the school shooting in 1998 when I was at Armstrong. You know, being the first chairman of the Virginia High School League in 102 years that VHSL has ever had. And kind of just watching my career matriculate through the different steps and some of the different obstacles I had. You know, I told a story when I was at Meadowbrook about how, you know, in Richmond City, because their SOL scores were always lower, the state would always come in and give us a whole bunch of tips of how to help improve the kids' scores. So I brought some of those same strategies to Meadowbrook, and the teachers there, instead of using my strategies, tried to accuse me of cheating because they were more concerned that my SOL score was going to be higher than theirs. Definitely racially motivated. But those are some of the stories I talk about. And I talk about the administrators of the day, you know, level of accountability. I have pictures in there, you know, from my kindergarten years all the way up through I graduated from college. Even, you know, experiencing racism at UVA. You know, I had never, even growing up around here, I had never really been called the N-word unless somebody was really angry and there was about to be a fight, right? But at UVA, we're just walking down the street and 3 white guys in the back of the truck saying, "Go back to Africa," right there. And I'm just like, oh, you know. And of course, you know, we try to find out who they were. But it was just interesting because growing up around here, we never experienced that. So, you know, I got a book signing coming out in about 3 weeks. My advanced copies just got here on Tuesday, so I got 100 copies.
And where's that big book signing going to be at?
So that's going to be private invitation, so I'll have to tell you that offline.
But where can they find the book?
Yeah. So the book will be, when it comes out April 4th, 2019. It'll be on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I got digital copies as well for ebooks. You can find it everywhere.
Right.
And you know, I bought 5,000 books just to start. Because I custom did this book myself. I use Clovercroft Publishing. Shout out to Larry Carpenter, who really helped me out. And I got the good thing about doing customizing and really owning your own book, I get more return on each copy that I sell, but I also get to be in charge of every piece of it. So it's 242 pages. It took me 3 years to write. I kind of took a year off when I got the job in Chester because I didn't have the time to really work on it. But last December, I decided I was going to finish it.
We're definitely going to check it out. We'll make sure we put the information below. I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Appreciate both of y'all. Always. Thank you all.
All right, this is Shop Talk on the move. We'll catch you with you next time.
Shop Talk, we on the move. About to pull up on you.
Coming through like